Alright, hey guys, so in this video I'm going to show you how to make this Lightning Web Component here. So it's more complex than this Lightning Web Component in my previous video right here, which is basically just a list. So this one is going to be a net profit margin calculator where you have to enter the values for the net profit and the total revenue. And then you click this calculate NPM button and it's going to reveal what your net profit margin is. So the formula for this is going to be the net profit divided by the total revenue times 100, and it'll give you your net profit margin. And I'll just show you that in action right now. So if your net profit is 100, your total revenue is 500, it's going to be 100 divided by 500 times 100. Should be 20. So all this is a percentage. So if the output is 20, this means it's 20%. So for every $1 of revenue, the company earns in net profit 20 cents in US currency. So if you don't know how to set up Visual Studio Code and CLI and SFDX, or if you don't know how to authorize your org, I have a video on that and I'll put the link in the description. So these instructions will be at the beginning of the link that I send, that I put in the description. And it's actually just going to be the first part of my first simple Lightning Web Component video. So for this video, I'm going to assume you know how to set all that up, and let's get started. So all I did here so far was make a new Lightning Web Component. So I did Control-Shift-P, and then I just did SFDX create Lightning Web Component. And we're going to be working in this one here, net profit margin 1. So as you see, we have the HTML, the JavaScript file, and the JS meta.xml file. So I like to start here in this meta file, or this configuration file. And this is what it looks like as soon as you create a web component. This is what it's going to be at default. So I'm going to paste what I had for my solution, and I'm going to explain why I have what I have. So I have it copied, and now I'm just going to paste it here. A fun trick here is if you Command A to select it all, and then if you press Shift and Tab at the same time, it'll make it a little more organized. So I'm just pressing it again, and there we go. It looks a lot better. So all I did here was, it used to be false, and I just made this true. And you want to make sure you have the targets you want, because otherwise you won't be able to see the Lightning Web Component when you deploy it to your org. And I'll paste this code in the description also. So now that the configuration file is done, let's take a look at the HTML file, which is the UI file, or it's basically what the user sees. So this is what it looks like as soon as you create a web component. I'm going to make this side by side with the component that I made. So yeah, normally you have these this template line here, and then this closed template line. So you want to put everything within here. So I'm going to paste what I had for this component, and I'm going to go over each part. All right, so I have it copied, so now I'm going to paste it here. So you see the template was here, and the end template is right here, and we have everything we need in between, which is, what's in here corresponds to what you see here. So basically, here's the syntax that you'll see for a lot of Lightning Web Components. So if you want to make multiple rows, this is all pretty standard stuff here. So it's Lightning layout, multiple rows. And notice that I have this opened, and then I closed it here. So, and I also have this Lightning card, which has the title, the Simple Net Profit Margin Calculator. So what you're seeing here is what you see right here. So this Lightning card is going to correspond to this here. And this Lightning layout for multiple rows is going to contain all these things. And I'll talk more about that. So this first block here is the first input box. So we see it's called the enter net profit. That corresponds to this one right here. So this number means that it's expecting to receive a number. And we're also going to add something called an onChange handler. So basically, when a value in the box changes, so when a value in this box changes, this handler right here is called, so see if I can show that. So net profit change handler is going to be called. which we have to define in the JS file or the JavaScript file. And this will handle what happens with it. And notice we have the ending of the lightning input, which we had here. It's just for correct syntax. So open lightning input, and then we close the lightning input here. So this is pretty much the exact same thing as this second block of code here. And instead of the enter net profit box we have here, it's going to be the enter total revenue box, which is here. So the only differences are the labels and the names of the on change handlers. So you can have on click or on change. And we're going to have to define this handler also in the JavaScript file. But this third section here is not going to be an input box. It's going to be a button instead. So as you can see, lightning input, and then lightning button. So this corresponds to this right here. So, and this is just for correct syntax, lightning layout item, and then we close lightning layout item here. So yes, the size is 12, pretty standard stuff. The label is calculate NPM, which is the label of this button, and the icon position is center, and then we're going to name this, so this handler is an on click as opposed to an on change handler. So basically, when we click it, it's going to correspond to this handler here, which we have to define in the JavaScript file. And however we define this will determine what happens when we click this button. So now this fourth block here will display the output, and you'll see in the JavaScript file how when the button is clicked, it will calculate, and then it's actually going to store the value in this current output right here, and that is going to show up right here. And again, we just make sure that we have everything closed. So template is closed here and it was opened here. Lightning card here and here. And then the lightning layout is for here. So very neat. And now we're going to check out the JavaScript file. So now this JavaScript file, which is where we handle all the logic, this is what we see initially as soon as we make a lightning web component. So first I'm going to add this track decorator. So we can use track below, which I'll show you, which is going to allow something to be dynamic, which all this means is that if it changes, it's going to be able to re-render. So I'm going to paste what I have for this so far. So here I'm going to define my variables. So first we have current output, we have net profit, and we have total revenue. So, and this is just good for you guys to know. So if you want to split the views between JavaScript and HTML, you can do that by dragging this HTML file, and you can do it like this. So you can see both at the same time. So we're going to define this variable, and we're also going to define this variable here, total revenue. So currency output, though, you're going to see from here. This looks a little familiar because it's from the HTML file. And I'll talk more about this once we finish this. So the first handler that we're going to define is the net profit change handler, which we see right here. So this is from the first block in our HTML file. And because it's on change, and as we said in the HTML file, when a value in this box changes, the handler is called. And now it'll be defined here. So as we are defining it, the value entered will be stored in this variable. But we'll make it so with parse integer, we're going to ensure that the value is converted into an integer so that this works. So this is just the correct syntax to make this happen. So we put event here within the parentheses. This is the handler, and when this handler is called, or when the value in the box changes, it calls this, and we're defining it here in the JavaScript file, then the value is going to be stored in this net profit variable right here. And the same exact thing, well, almost exact, for this second block where we created that input box for enter total revenue. So we made the on change handler right here called total revenue change handler. and we see that right here. This is where we're going to define this handler. So total revenue change handler from the HTML file is being defined right here. So again, we're converting it into an integer. We're making sure that it's an integer, and the value is going to be stored in this total revenue. So then for the third block of code that was in the HTML file, we made the button. So this button is an on-click handler. So basically, when the button is clicked, it's going to call this handler here, calculate NPM handler, and we're defining that right here in the JavaScript file, and it's going to do what's in these brackets right here. And this is also, we're going to define the calculation. So this is where we calculate the net profit margin, which gets stored in this dot current output. So current output is here, and we saw it here in this HTML file. This was where we saw this right here. So basically, when you click this button, it's going to call the on-click handler, and the on-click handler is going to do the calculation, and the calculation will be displayed here. So click the button, it calls calculate NPM handler. NPM handler is defined right here, and what it does is it sets this current output value to the following right here. It's going to say the net profit margin is, and then it's going to have the calculation right here. So it's the net profit divided by the total revenue multiplied by 100, and it's going to show up in this layout item. So now we have the correct code. Now we're going to make sure we can save everything, save each file, and then all you have to do is right click the file that it's in. So net profit margin 1, and we're going to click deploy source to org. Successfully ran. So now we're going to go to our org, and a way you can open the org is by clicking here. But one thing I just want to iterate before we do that is, so current output, we added the track decorator. So if current output changes at all, it's going to be able to re-render. So when users put values for net profit and total revenue, and it does this calculation, it's going to be able to re-render. So you have to add track here, at track, and you add the track decorator here. So now just to prove that it works, we're going to click this button to open our org, and we're going to add it to the home screen of our sales application. Edit page. And if we scroll down to our custom components, we will see that net profit margin 1 is right here. So let's delete this one, and we're going to add net profit margin 1 right here, just to prove that it works. So now we're going to save it and activate it. And yes, it's already set as the org default homepage. Perfect. Save, back. And here we are. Let's make sure that it works still. Yes, so it still works. So we have the net profit divided by the total revenue multiplied by 100, which you should get 2,500%, which is a lot. So now that we proved that it works, I'd like to thank MyTutorialRack, the YouTube channel, for the inspiration to create something similar yet different from what she made. And her channel has a ton of super helpful tutorials. So I'll include the link to her channel in the description of this video, along with the code to make the code for the JavaScript, the HTML, and the meta.xml file. So that's it, and have a nice day. Thanks. Bye.